It's often said that in event sourcing, you're able to build reports with historical data. But how to do that? We haven't told you yet, but luckily you're here right now, and we'll tell you about projections and how you can use them to build the reports that your business desires. Hey, Tomek.
Hi, Łukasz. I can't do such a great introductions, so I would just start with today's episode is about projections. But actually, yeah, it evaluated, right? The topic itself, because we were thinking about something like the easiest way of event sourcing, the easiest model, even without model, right?
Yeah.
And then we finished. We ended up with the projections, and that's and I think this one will be nice for you as well.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with the result we have with this no model event sourcing. I mean, it is possible.
Me neither.
You were even less happy. We do that in our project, so maybe one day we'll have example that would work fine. It's very useful whenever you don't really need the model and you don't have a logic, but it would be useful for having data. And what can you do with this data? We'll show you today. Because as it's been said already in one of the previous videos, whenever you have some process or there is some, let's say a task, once again, we're in the task domain, and this task contains some status in the relational database. Usually what you see is the end state, right? The snapshot of the end state. In the task, it will be most likely completed or deleted or whatever. And now we'll show you how you can, for example, make a report that would give you interesting answers to some questions that you may ask, which you wouldn't be able to do with the snapshot model. At least with the very basic snapshot model without any additional hacks such as temporal table or the paper trail gem. Tomek, would you introduce us to the business problem that we want to solve?
Yeah, but before we get there, I also would like to add that about the status actually. Mm-hmm. So if you recall the task model, we actually do not expose the status itself, right, to the external world. Let's say we don't have any attribute reader that tells you about the status, right? And then
that is correct.
Yeah, because it's encapsulated inside the object, and the projections also can help us with in such a case, right? When we want to expose something to on the UI, for example.
Yeah.
And we don't want to use read models yet, so we don't want to store the data directly in the regular database, right?
Yeah, but with what we'll show you, it would be possible just to insert this as a model to the regular database and make it easily accessible. But we'll do that in next episode probably, or the next after one. Okay, so what's the business problem that we want to solve?
So the business problem here is that we want to have like information about how many times task was reopened. So that's, I think, quite common case that business can come to us and say that they want to know how many times the specific tasks were opened, right? An average, for example.
Yeah.
Or the maximum number of times, right?
Yeah. In our case, it will be just tasks. We'll list the tasks that were most recently opened and opened the most number. Actually, they opened which task is maximum. Sorry, which task was opened the largest amount of time, the most of times. Okay, that's probably the better sentence, and. Yeah, so let's go to the code. And maybe why a business may be interested in that. Because maybe they need to reevaluate how they describe the task cards, right? Because if it's reopened from being completed, it may mean that someone didn't understand what the task is about, and that's why they made a mistake, and the task had to go back. The person had to redo it or finish it, whatever, and then it was completed again. All right.
In other words, let's say definition of done was not so good, right?
Or it didn't exist. Let's see how the projection looks like. Luckily, in the Race Event Store, we did some job for you. you can use the projection class or module. It's a class, I think. Is it class? Yeah. You can use the projection class that we prepared for you. And what it does, it's if we go line by line, in this case, it reads the events from all streams. Then we initialize some initial state. In this case, it's just an empty hash, but it could be an object as well. And then we specify what we do when certain event is applied or read from the event store, right? Then we have there's the event type, that's the first argument, and as the second, there is a lambda that takes the previous state and then the event. It's very similar to the reduce. And in the block, then as you can see here in the line 61, you define what do you want to do with this state. In our case, as we mentioned, we would like to calculate the tasks that were most that are reopened the most of the times. So when we finish the projection, all we have to call is the run, passing the event store, which is a client, as an argument. To be honest, we're not most happy with this API. It will be changed in 3.0. There is a work ongoing on that. However, this is how it is right now. And this is how you can use it. Of course, you can write your own projections. Nothing stands like in front of you or in front of that. It's very common pattern in event sourcing world. And what's projection? Like, it's often said that it's just a left fold, right? So meaning that we just read events and we apply them to the new state, just like reduce. There's no magic, although it's a very scary word whenever you start event sourcing, I think. Yeah, so as you can see, this code is very simple. It's straightforward. And maybe let's see how it's applied in the test. So as you can see in here, the method name states that all completed tasks will be reported. And here the test is a little bit too long, but this is just to show you what output we can get and we can expect. So as you can see, we complete the task, we reopen it. There are two different tasks. One is the UUID 1 and the other one is 2. There are two different tasks for those UUIDs. And then you can see that at the end, when we run this all completed task reopened projection, then we get the result. And if Tomek run the test, it should be green.
Fingers crossed. Yay!
Yay! Actually, there's no need to call it again in line number 229. It's enough to just 229. There's no, I think we can remove it and rerun the test just to see confirm it's green. I think that's, I made this mistake. Okay, now if you took a look at how this test is structured, you can actually see that the UUID UUID 1 task is reopened 3 times. We can quickly validate that. So to see if I'm not mistaken, there's 1, 2, and 3. And the other one is reopened, I think it should be 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So that's really cool. And this is what you can do with the data. Of course, you can do more sophisticated calculations inside. But the thing is that I think we talked about that in the first episode, you have this history. So now you can use this history to recalculate whatever you feel you need, whatever report you feel is useful for the business or whatever they want, right? But one may ask a question. Well, the question would be, do I really have to read events from all the streams?
That was the question, okay.
What's the answer? Of course, it's no.
No.
You can read, in this version of projection, you can read from multiple streams. However, there is no guarantee how the events will be ordered. So I recommend not to do that. As the proof of this recommendation in version 3.0, I think we will drop this possibility because it's hard to determine how the events should be ordered. But that's a topic for another talk. Maybe with the architect behind the Rails event store. However, it is possible to just read from the from the specific stream. And if you were paying attention, you could probably notice this in the test that previously we just quickly run through. But as you can see in the line 207, we actually called the report for for the specific task, how many times it was reopened. And as you can see, it was completed 4 times and reopened 3 times. So yay, finally someone made a good job and the definition of done was fulfilled.
Yeah, and that's also nice that we can we can have we don't need dedicated models for that, right? We can do it like here. We just pass the hash.
Yeah,
exactly. As an initial state, and we just iterate on this one, right? There is no need for another dedicated model, let's say, and that somehow works on this stream, right?
Yeah,
we are just interested on some events that happened, and we can build some state based on that.
Yeah.
Which, for example, here is just a number, right?
Yeah, it's just a number.
Just a number.
Yeah. But you could just do anything. You could include the date. I mean, there's just imagination that stops you whenever you have the data, right? You could just make calls to external services, get some other information, maybe look in the other streams, maybe look in your relational data model, correlate it with user, whoever finished that, whoever reopened, completed the task. Maybe you want just to fire someone. That's probably. I hope you don't, but if you have to, I mean, you can do it with event sourcing. But please don't quote me on that.
Yeah, and another nice thing here about it is we do it in memory, which is actually nice in this case because when it comes to reports or you just experiment sometimes, and and you can build them in memory, show to the business, and if they like it, then you think about other solutions like read models, for example, where you persist the data. When you persist the data somewhere, right? Where you can get them, fetch them very quickly. But for some kind of experiments, this is great, right? Because you can read those events and build some state, whatever you want to build, right?
Yeah, and that's really cool. That's really cool. And there is maybe one more question that's hanging in the air. And is it able to build the report that we built, the second one, so all completed task reopened? Is it possible to build such a report in more efficient way? And the answer is, of course, yes, because we could create a dedicated stream that would contain all the interesting events from the task. But we'll not do that today because we promised ourselves that this episode will be watchable during your coffee time or your schnitzel time.
Schnitzel time.
Okay, we didn't agree on that. Yeah, and as you can see, actually that would be also interesting to see because it may be not visible here because we are using the task service that publishes events, but those projections are actually very easy to test because as you saw, well, the task service just publishes events underneath those methods, right? Such as reopen task. As you can see, it's calling the aggregate task reopen, which publishes the event. So you could just simply test the projection. I think we'll also include that in the next episode.
Definitely.
That will be nice. Now it's been said, so it has to be done. All right. So this is basic introduction to projections. I hope you like it. This episode, we didn't talk about likes. So if you would like to, then give us a like, pun intended. And also subscribes are welcome. And if you have any idea of what you would like to learn from the event sourcing or hear about or hear our perspective, because maybe you know stuff, but you would like to confront it, then feel free to comment and we will most likely, not surely, but most likely we will record a video on that subject.
Yep.
All right.
So I think that's it.
It's finish o'clock. See you.
See you.